Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Reuel Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies of Your View with me. Hi Tokwe, how are you today?
I'm good, grateful, grateful is the word. Then I was listening to something this morning and I just felt I was going to share with everyone concerning how we extol challenges. Like we talk about our challenges over time. So it was a sermon and it was saying that tell your challenges about how big your God is. Don't tell God about how big your challenges are. And then I realized most of our prayer points, we tend to tell God about, this problem is so big, my house rent, but rather just confront the challenging situation you're facing with how wonderful and how big and how God can meet all your needs. And a lot of times we just focus so much on problems that we don't see all the good things happening around us. I choose to be grateful. So gratitude is my state at the moment.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I got here just in time. I mean, there's been a road diversion on the Ojota where you get on the bridge, so you had to drive all the way to mile 12 before you can turn around and get on this side. Yes, crazy. I was out of my house at 6:45.
Usually the announcements should be made, maybe on Twitter, but we probably will miss it. Maybe they will have made an announcement, but we'll miss it.
Way ahead of time.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
And you wouldn't have followed that area.
Yeah, I wouldn't have if I'd known, yes. So I got this on
That's
time.
the story of our lives in Lagos. If you're a Lagosian, you're kind of used to traffic. You know how abroad you're used to weather stories. Every morning, the weather's beautiful today. Here is
traffic.
How bad was it? How long did it take?
Yeah.
But the traffic experience these days have. Before we used to enjoy traffic because of you can buy this, you can buy that. But now I see that they've chased most of them away.
It's not even that. We don't even care about the buying anymore. It's just so bad. We're just wasting so many productive hours in traffic. It is. It can be frustrating. So I tend to dance. I'm sure anybody that knows me, has seen me in traffic will see me dancing. I take it up, like I raise the music so high, sort of like to push out the frustration from my head. And I'll be dancing as I'm driving, like I'm about to drown out because it can't be very, very. You just realize that you're fighting everybody and you're frowning. And I see everybody, we have this face in Lagos, like everybody's like
frustrated. More frustrated.
Yeah,
so like I now try to smile and dance like, me on this journey I am happy. We just need to do our best.
On our faces.
Mariah.
I think that we're okay. There's frustration.
Our resting face is frustrated.
Yeah.
They would ask you, are you okay, Mariah? You'll be like, I'm okay, but your face looks like you're not.
SDJ ran to work yesterday saying that her husband called her, saying that Mariah looks very, very worried. And I'm like, I'm actually very fine. It's a Nigerian face. It's a
Nigerian face.
It's a Lagos face, I think.
Lagos face.
Because, sometimes when people coming from out of states, they're like, why is everybody angry on the way? Everybody's looking angry. At first, I used to see that too, but now I don't see it anymore.
Because you have joined us.
It's crazy. That's Lagos for you. All right, we have to go on a break. It's Wednesday. We have so much to talk about today. But first, we'll go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, we're starting with The Nation. Buhari orders security rejig as Can Sultan raised the alarm. Petrol price to go up on PPPRA as PPPRA raises ex-depot price by 6 naira. Government airing stations to pay 5 million naira hate speech fine. Eulogies as Ayo Fasonmi departs. Ondo Deputy Governor shuns PDP Congress. Bristol helicopter sacks 100 pilots and engineers. This obviously is as a result of the COVID-19 and quite a number of other. I think it was last week we talked about Air Peace, sacking quite a number of pilots also.
As well.
Yeah, so that's the reality of our times. Okay, let's take a few stories in The Nation. Which other stories? Our president has ordered a rejig of. Well, I don't even know what that rejig means. I read the article, and I know that they had a meeting, a security meeting yesterday, and it was the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Munguno, was one that was speaking yesterday during the press briefing, saying that the president has already identified the Nigerians have obviously lost interest. They've lost confidence. They lost confidence in our security apparatus. So there will be a bit of rejig. We're not sure what that means. If it's operational, is it on personnel, is it on strategy? it's not totally clear, but hopefully there's a rejig that's going to come, and hopefully.
So is this on the back of the Senate sitting down and talking about this?
Well, it looks.
There's
been quite a bit of uproar from Senate, CAN. Quite a number of other leaders have said it. So we'll see. I think we'll just wait and see.
Want specifics, though. We're waiting for specifics from the presidency to give us specifics of what rejig means to the president at the moment. Is it that they'll be firing them or they'll be repositioning people? Yeah.
And finally, Fasami was laid to rest yesterday. I actually thought it was on Monday, but it was actually yesterday. And quite a number of our leaders were there. Moving on to The Punch. Hate speech. NBA activists lampoon federal government for raising fine to 5 million naira. 50 killed, thousands injured as explosion rocks Lebanon port. 4,000 ghost voters participated in NBA elections, says lawyers group. Ogun engineer allegedly breaks into neighbor's house and rapes daughter. Kwara traces Lagos contacts as deputy governor's wife tests positive. NUC believes varsities will reopen soon, laments ASU. And stamp duty outrage on Twitter as FIRS slams a NIPOST chairman. Okay, which story? Lebanon was really, but go ahead, let me let you take the major headline.
Major headline is stating that the NBA, the entire NBA, like many major big wigs in the law, Nigerian Bar Association, senior lawyers and human rights activists are all speaking against the rise in hate speech fine. They said that this is the hike in the price in the hate speech fine constitutes attempt to gag the media. That's from the NBA. Mike Ezekome San says it is an expression of Buhari's government despotism and dictatorship. And many people are expressing like it's an attempt to stifle free press. That's from the International Press Center, ED. And be more concerned about the killings. NBA advises federal government gagging the press by increasing the fine for hate speech by 900% is anti-people. And
well, aside from that, there have been other parts of the NBC code that we've been expecting. So that's one of it, but there are kind of other parts of it that are all actually beneficial to the Nigerian economic growth.
Everybody's focused on this one.
So we are focusing on that. But however, we'll try to see if we can get in someone to come and tell us exactly what the new code, I mean, this is the 6th edition. We've been waiting for it for many years. Finally, it's here. So we'll now see what else we can do, use with that code. Okay, another story.
In Lebanon, I mean, I think we've all seen the videos and the pictures. Very, very sad, you know. We don't know if there are any Nigerians in that happened. Nigerians.
We just 30 Nigerians just came home. Just like 2 days ago.
Yeah, even though
and the 50 in the video are now they said they've been evacuated to a safer location from that room.
International media is saying they don't know yet what the cause of the explosion is, but they're still waiting.
That it may be some old fireworks that have been kept in the building. And
others have always said that even that explosion is too huge for fireworks. So we'll see we'll wait for the reports. There was a human interest story.
Yeah, so this happened in Ogun State. Ado Odo Ota, local government area of Ogun State. Very sad situation where an engineer that lives opposite a particular family, this woman left her kids, 3 of them, in custody of her first child, which was 16 years old. She went to came to Lagos to shop, only to get a phone call from her daughter that she was raped, that her house was broken into by the neighbor, and the man had carnal knowledge of the lady and a 16-year-old girl. This man is married. Here is the part that worries me. He said the man and his wife are pleading with the mother of this child to settle. They don't want prosecution of this case. And I was waiting to see whatever the reason for this Mr. Adewumi Lawal will carry out such action. But the man has escaped. He ran away from the house. And now we're waiting. I really don't like this idea of settling out of court. Let prosecution take place.
Moving on now to Vanguard. Those we named took our contracts, NDDC insists. Edo Obaseki threatened violence, not me, says Oshomole. Apapa traffic crisis to linger till December, says Presidential Task Force. Buhari to completely rejig security systems, says NSA. Lai Mohammed unveils reviewed broadcast code, and Nigeria's domestic refining capacity rises by 3.8%. Okay, I have the story of NDDC because it's been interesting. I don't like us to sweep it under the carpet. But let me just tell you what... Sorry. No, more people are talking. They're singing like birds. Oh. So we have the Director of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Charles Odili, said that the Commission has details of contracts and proxies used to take the contracts. There are 250 contracts taken in one day in the name of the National Assembly.
Wow.
Remember yesterday we had the gentleman Jack Rich. He was the chairman Palliative Distribution Committee. He also said he had alleged that the 6.2 billion naira by the AMC was diverted. There have been quite a bit of allegations, and they also said that the list that Minister Akpabio had released is just a tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
There's more.
So they went to look for the trouble of the tiger.
The list is not from him. It's from NDDC. They have 8,000 files that have been submitted, and these files have all the details, all the various of the various contracts been given out.
I really don't want
so
this
we are
to be
still
sweaty,
waiting. But my own worry is that after all these hula baloo,
where would
the individuals?
Would they be prosecuted? Would it just be immediate trial?
Do you believe?
And if they even enter the jail cell, it's not after 2 months.
Then
3 months.
Technical
we'll welcome back with a nice
fanfare.
So that's our Nigeria story. Let's move on to Daily Sun, because we have seen this before and we have gone this road before. Daily Sun. Buhari to overhaul security. We talked about that already. Picture here of students being inspected before they come into school, that they take the temperature test and all that. And I see quite a bit of social distancing in the pictures. We spent 523 million naira feeding pupils in Lagos, Abuja, Ogun during lockdown, says federal government. Why varsities are yet to reopen, says NUC. Yoruba leaders extol Fasomi as remains are interned in Ekiti. And Enugu reopens schools on Friday. Okay, who has that?
So 32 universities are involved in COVID-19 research, and they said we are accessing the readiness for the schools to reopen. They're saying that this is in response to why the universities haven't opened. They've not specified the reason, but they said until we harvest this input from the universities, we can't sit in Abuja and decide the level of preparedness of the schools. So there's a research going on within the schools, having meetings with all the vice chancellors of universities, requesting them to suggest protocols and strategies for safely reopening the schools. So we are still awaiting. But they said a lot of the universities, 32 universities, are working on COVID research for Nigeria, and that we're hoping to see that come to fruition. So we should
the other story about the money that was spent feeding people in Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, has said that was 500 million, not 13 billion that was initially put out there. And secondly, that they calculated 70 naira per child. And gives about 1,400 naira per month per child, and that was how they calculated, I think, three children per family, and on the average. So per household, they're spending about 4,200 per child day. And per month, because it's 14 naira, it's 17 naira per meal. So the point is that they now did the calculation saying that that's exactly how much was sent each of the states, and that was what was carried out. That there was an error. The figures that were being publicized were totally wrong and false. Okay, moving on now, our final paper, I think, Daily Trust, news tightens around service chiefs. We discussed that. WAEC releases 2020 WASI timetable. 9 post FIR's feud over stamp duty deep in space. Who has that story?
Yes,
I did not read that story.
Yes, I do. So it happened on Twitter. Twitter raised the situation that it was on Twitter that the FIRS tweeted a series of tweets alleging that the chairman of the Nigerian Postal Service, Mrs. Maimuna Abubakar, that she is a privileged young lady who happened to be appointed to high office, and described her statement of stamp duty as indecorous. The allegation was that she made a statement that it wasn't right for FIRS to collect stamp duty, and FIRS came to correct her that you don't have information. We're not collecting stamp duty. What we're collecting is different. It's called stamp order. And the Director of Communication and Liaison Officer of FIRS in the statement said that they had to slam the chairman because he was wrong. It was titled "The Vexed Nipos Tweets" by Mrs. Maimuna, and there was a real long rampage. I think that maybe we should have the Attorney General come in and dissect what the law, because it's been ongoing. Who has the right to charge stamp duty?
Why are we having Twitter conversations instead of proper conversations between this?
Yeah.
And why would you say she's a nice young lady? What's that? Yeah. That's a bit sexist.
Yes,
Sorry,
exactly. I didn't like the privileged young lady who happened to be appointed to a high position. Deal with the situation.
Yeah, they keep doing that. Nigeria's patriarchal society. Anyway, that's all we can say. What they call us feminists now. Let's go on a break.
Why is feminist a bad word, please?
I mean, well, that's another angle. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So the rate of cultism, actually, not cultism, we'll do cultism a bit later, but we're actually discussing the killings that we've been hearing about in Southern Kaduna. Nigerians are beginning to urge the United Nations to intervene. One of those who recently lost his father is a Nigerian artist, Joe. Good morning, Joel. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good to have you on the show. We're so sorry about the loss of your father. Could you tell us in your words what's happened?
Okay, what happened in my community where I come from, in Southern Kaduna, was that on the 24th of July this year, 2020, my dad's community, Zepak, was attacked by Fulani henchmen, and then they started shooting. So my dad was shot. He was shot in the back behind our family compound in the community. He was the first person they shot, according to reliable source from the community. And then my aunt was the second person that was shot to death. And then my uncle was also killed. And then other 9, lives in the community were also killed. And then 4 people are shot. They stole provisions, stole
Right. Joe, was there a history of altercation between your community and these herdsmen?
Yeah, I mean, I was told that there's a dispute.
I can't hear you very clearly, Joel. We're having connection issues.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, it's a bit better now.
Okay. So, some said it's an issue of land. Some said there was a time when, there was a conflict or dispute between the Fulani community and the Southern Kaduna community. So, I think that time, it was still a mutual defensive game. What do I mean by that? The Fulani were still able to, there was a conflict, but then there was no sophisticated weapons in the hands of the Fulani henchmen. So I think that at that time, the Southern Kaduna communities were able to fight back and I think defeated or won the battle. So this is like the Fulani coming back now to say, okay, from history, they say Fulani don't easily forgive, you know. So I think this is like them retaliating, but this time around with sophisticated weapons. So these villagers can't stand them. So it has now become a thing of bloody massacre where it is no longer an equal battle or something.
Okay, all right.
Joe, are these people that the community recognizes? Do they recognize them? Have they dealt with them, in other ways before? Or these are just strangers to them?
These are strangers to them.
Okay.
Yeah, strangers with someone or an insider or an informant giving them, information about these communities, the surroundings, the happenings and everything.
All right.
Okay, so I wanted to ask concerning the information that we have, because really at the end of the day, the police or security apparatus would need information from the survivors, those that survived the incident, on what took place. Because when I read about it, there were different accounts and speculations on what happened. And since you're involved, sadly your family, immediate family is involved in this. What was the account? How many people survived? What was their account of what really happened? People say they are mercenaries and not Fulani, might not be Fulani people, they might be mercenaries from outside the community. What exactly is your own account from people that survived that you knew?
Okay, if they are mercenaries from outside the country, then what are they fighting for? Who is sponsoring them or asking them to kill people randomly or unnecessarily? So these are not mercenaries. These are I'm being specific, Fulani henchmen, because they were seen. Now, how were they, when they started the shooting, you know, they started from my family ancestral compound, where they shot my dad. So my other cousins, my relatives, they ran inside the house for safety, locked the doors and the windows, and then they started, you know, looking or peeping from the window to see, what's happening, gunshot, and so they saw everything. Even while they killed, after my dad, my cousin's mom that they shot, beside my dad, I had the pictures. They saw how they killed her. They shot her in the leg. She was now crying for help, you know, praying at the same time. Then they came closer, shot her in the stomach, and she died. You know, and when these people came, now when they came, while they were shooting, they were now calling names of people. Where is this? Where is that? They called names, and the names of these people they called while they were still shooting are names of the vigilante in my community.
Oh.
Yeah, so somebody must have told them that the reason you people have not been able to attack this particular community are because of these people fighting back or protecting them. Right. So they came for those people, but because they have come to kill anything they see, while they were looking for those people, they were still killing other people.
Where were the vigilantes at that time? Where were they though?
I mean, it was in the evening, the shooting started, so everybody was busy with their normal daily activities. Yeah. You know, and as a matter of fact, the vigilantes are mostly the youth. So they said that evening, according to my, sorry, I'm having a quote, according to my younger sister, they were having, the youth were having a meeting that evening. So luckily for the youth, they didn't have the meeting on the regular meeting ground.
Right.
They said they went into the church. And the church is a little bit down the community, not very close to where they came from.
Let me throw in one final question for you.
Yes. The governor has said that they have military around in these communities that are stationed there. He even had to build an estate. Is there that sort of, what are the people see? What's the interaction between the community and the military in these areas? This
attack, or the attack in my community, to be specific, the park and the shootings lasted for almost 5 hours before the police came. So if there were soldiers on ground, how come it lasted for 5 hours?
All right, that's a valid question. Yeah. Let me stop it right there, because this is obviously a very difficult conversation to have. We're so sorry about the loss of your family members and loved ones. We have with us also on the phone Kaduna correspondent Toluse Francis, who's going to shed some light on what the government is doing, especially, I think it's actually on Skype. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
Joe,
so much.
Toluse. Good morning, Toluse.
Yes, good morning.
Thanks for joining us. So I know you are in Kaduna, and you've been following this story, especially in Southern Kaduna, for a while. Could you give us an update on what you have? What has the government done to protect the citizens, especially when Joel has said that these shootings happened for 5 hours? Are they being protected at all?
Yes, I would say that just a few days ago we were in Southern Kaduna, and I can confirm that there are more boots on the ground, more security. There's been more security deployments to that area called Southern Kaduna. One thing that, from my experience covering the issues here, it's a very vast expanse of land, so much that I would say categorically that no matter, as a state and of course as a nation, we fall short of the United Nations, prescription for the community policing or the policing figures generally. So there's quite a number of security deployments to that area, but it's a very vast expanse of land, like I said. When it happens, usually it has to, there has to be signal and all of that. So many times, basically the people will have to, get their acts together. But generally, I would say that we were there, we saw that there's been more deployment.
Right. Okay. The governor has said that, there's a faction that believes that that some people are deliberately targeted because of their religion or because of that particular community that they're from. and we have another faction that believes it's just communal, clashes. What do you think, being on ground there, what do you think it's really about?
Well, there have been killings, and I would like to say here that Kaduna State, there have been killings not just in Southern Kaduna. There have been killings in Igabi, there have been killings in Birningwari, there have been killings also in Giwa. These local governments are not part of what we call Southern Kaduna or the Southern Senatorial District of Kaduna State. Basically, the government believes this is pure criminality because in the entire Northwest region, we have issues of banditry and criminality. So it gets really, really disturbed that, I mean, the Kaduna story gets so alarming. It gets really, really, heightened. And but this is happening. There've been killings in Sokoto. There've been killings in Zamfara. There've also been killings in Katsina. So the government believes there's a peace commission that has been set to look into the issues, and generally, so it believes that it is not what is happening in Giwa, Birningwari, and Igabi is the same thing that is happening in Kajuru, is happening in Zangon Katab, is happening in Jama'a, is happening in Kaura and Kauru, local government areas in the Southern Senatorial District.
So you see, this statement is a bit. There's insecurity. We know there's insecurity generally, but specifically the Southern Kaduna people, we have generations of adults now who were born hearing Southern Kaduna killings. So it's not something that is new. It's something that has been on ground for years, before the major widespread insecurity challenges within the Northwest or Northeast. It's been ongoing. So, and we've had discussions, there have been peace councils, there have been all of this. With this current administration, what do you know has been done to unite the warring parties? Because obviously it's been sort of transgenerational, passed on from one generation to the other concerning these issues. What is the government doing to unite them and maybe redefine each person's allocated portion, long-term solution, so that we don't come back 3 years time and say, this is another case of what has been happening around the community?
Yes, when the Nasser El-Rufai-led government came on board, and of course I'm not a spokesperson, but of course I've been around the government for a while. The government instituted what it called town hall meetings, and at every quarter thereabout, the government would go around the senatorial districts, to have people, and of course local government areas as well, to have people share their minds, bear their minds on issues, security, development, calling for, calling the government and putting the government in check. What I would say is there are issues and people, like you said, Tope, it's many people were given birth to in several areas, and they grew up knowing that, okay, as a Fulani man, my parents gave birth to me, say in Jama'a local government with headquarters as Kafanchan. So many times, that's all they know to be home. And the story has been, I would also like to say that the issue of minority dichotomy, indigenous satellite dichotomy, one of the movements by the government here in Kaduna is that, look, that has been abolished. It has not helped us in the time past. And so everybody in Kaduna State is a citizen. That has been the promotion, that has been the advocacy by the government. It believes that the more we gather together, the more development we have. And El-Rufai has been really, drawing inspiration from governments like China, even in Kano nearby here as a state, and Lagos. It believes that the more we live together as a people, the more even the economy would boom. So it wants the people, irrespective of tribe, religion, and all those indices, to live together as a people, be peaceful, be embrace each other irrespective of its religious or tribal differences. This has been the promotion by the government, and like I said, the people will have to really, really recourse to living together. I mean, even as twins, you have issues. So no matter how many security personnel you have, if the people do not really collectively push and resolve to live in peace, the issues might just linger and continue to linger.
Thank you so much, SM. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you being here. We're speaking with our correspondent, Tessem Akende. Let's go on a break. Up next is cultism. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So the rate of cultism amongst Nigerian youths have increased, according to reports. Until recently, cultism was thought to be a problem among students of the tertiary institutions. But that has obviously changed, as the bug has gone around even to secondary students and sometimes primary juniors and their junior counterparts. Now, we need to discuss this thoroughly. Joining us on the show is the National Coordinator, Police Campaign Against Cultism and Other Vices, CSP Ebere, Amaraizu. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good to have you on the show today. We also have with
Thanks
us
very much.
a mental and emotional wellness expert, the thought leader and founder of Reuel Consulting, Toluse Francis. Good morning, Tolu. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. And you?
Good to have you on the show. So you can... Now, issue of cultism. Let me start with the CSP. We've seen, especially during this lockdown, how quite a number of young people have been idle and found themselves in all sorts of activities. In your view as a police officer, what has been the reports of cultism in the neighborhoods, and what are you doing to help curb these activities of young people?
Thank you very much. Talking about cultism, and with regards to your question, you know that a lot of youth, are gradually queuing into cultism and other vices. And the reason being that they've started seeing it as a way of life, as a culture. And of course, you know that these things are alien to us. And they also see it as a means of getting to their destination. So, they will be told during their initiation process. And of course, you cannot rule out violent activities and other criminal tendencies that are attached to it.
Okay, so it says immediately I saw police campaign against cultism. Usually we look at police as like punitive measures, to activities, criminal activities like that. What tools would you be using in your campaign? Are they strictly punitive like you've always done? Or are you doing something preventative? Or are we speaking to these youths? What are we doing with this campaign?
Okay, thank you very much. Police campaign against cultism and other vices, otherwise known as PCACOV, is the initiative of the Nigerian Police Force under the present leadership by Inspector General of Police Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, MPM MONI. Now, the program is informed, firstly, by the realization that there's a correlation between cultism and other violent crimes like cultism, and that it's best mitigated through a strategy that is premised on community policing practices. Now, taking the ways of advocacy, awareness creation, sensitization, mentoring, and reorientation is a kind of a soft power of the Nigerian police, and it's a kind of bringing in freshness, to the ways the Nigerian police have been combating, incidences of cultism and other vices. You know, a kind of involving different stakeholders, because in this context, we have a kind of different stakeholders involved. We are bringing in the faith-based organization, we are bringing in the parents, we are bringing in ministries, departments, and agencies. We're also bringing in traditional rulers. We are bringing in those that will reach out, so that together we join hands to raise this awareness, you know, make this advocacy, reorientate our youth,
right,
and you know, give them a leadership direction, you know, away from core law enforcement approach.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. My question will probably go to Toluse. The thing is, we need to, for us to effectively solve a problem, we need to understand what causes the problem, which is why do people go and join cults? If an advocacy or campaign is supposed to deal with reducing cultism or making cultism unattractive for young people, it would be to understand why they join cults in the first place. Most of the time, people that join cults want brotherhood, or they want connection. They want that sense of community. And I think that it would be wise to toe that line. What I would like to find out from you is which angle of this campaign is helping the young people build community relationships with each other without being involved in cultism and the vices that come across from being in a cult.
That goes to Tolu.
All right, thank you. So I believe that as humans, we are social beings. We are created to associate with people who are of like mind. And so when people find themselves in situations where they don't fit in, everybody wants to fit in one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to be part of something, right? And there are underlying needs. There are needs that humans have that they desire to satisfy. So the question begins with, why do people join cults, right? It's either to seek power because you feel like you're being bullied. Mm-hmm. It's either to seek that connection, like you said earlier, because nobody wants to interact with you, or you are envious of where some people are and you want to get there. It's possible that the love that you lack at home, the family, you're not feeling that love within the family, and yet you have someone who shows you so much love. That person has a tendency to win you over to join his own group or his own clique. And so whatever advocacy that is going to go out there to tackle cultism, I think you begin from the angle of identity. Yeah. You should begin from the angle of, who do you say you are as a person? This might look very easy, this might look very simple, like you know who they are. But the truth of the matter is, there are some adults who can't even tell you who they are without attaching all the titles that they have against their name. And so a lot of people out there just want to belong because they want to have an identity. They want to have something against their name. They want to be seen as somebody within the society. So I think that the call, right, to everyone and the advocacy by the police force should be geared towards getting young ones to have a sense of identity, to have a sense of self-esteem as to who they are, irrespective of what is around them. And because another challenge that you have is, if you live in a place where they portray to you that being part of this thing is normal. You know, before we're looking at schools now, even outside schools, people join cults, right? And so it's not a function of school anymore, even community. And so people need to find a sense of identity for themselves, and to also come to that point where they don't think less of themselves, or they think highly of themselves. And this can only come from the things that they hear, and when they are taking on that journey of accepting or understanding who they really are.
Right. Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have with us the coordinator, Police Campaign Against Cultism, CSP Ebere, Amaraizu. My question is to you, as a coordinator, you said something about bringing in the parents and the local community leaders, the elders and all that. When you say bringing in, what does that mean? Because Nigerians are tired of rhetorics. We really want to see our leaders act. The issue of cultism is not something we can just have this gloss over. We need to be very specific on what you're doing. So when you say you're bringing in, what does that mean?
Yeah, thank you very much. What I mean by this is that this is a wholesome partnership,
Okay.
not just bringing in. That is a wholesome partnership. They're all in this. That is why if you look at the slogan of PCACOV, slogan of PCACOV says, "It is all about you," which means there is a kind of wholesome involvement. The parents, caregivers, guardians are there. Then we'll look at also government and non-governmental organizations. We'll look at, that's why I mentioned ministries, departments, and agencies. Then we also look at the traditional institutions. We look at also the faith-based organizations, because faith-based organizations and the community-based organizations, where we have the President General.
Let me cut you off there, because I want to go to another angle, because we've gotten that point that you're involving these communities. But the real issue, the crux of the conversation I'd like to have today is, how do we profile young people who are being alleged to be cultists? So we go to a bar, you see young people hanging out, having drinks, and then the police comes in and rounds that up. How do you profile them, number one? Number two, when you do arrest these alleged cultists, how do we rehabilitate them, or do we just throw them in jail? What's the procedure? Could you explain to us so we understand?
Okay, the essence of this program is not a warfare. This program, as instituted by the Inspector General of Police, is not a warfare.
Okay.
It is community-driven.
Okay.
And it is a community policing tool, meaning that it is proactive in nature. PCACOV does not arrest. So we try to stop every activity, that will make our youth to get involved, in cultism, substance abuse, sexual and gender-based violence. Thuggery and violence are not right into it. So that's why we are working with different stakeholders. So if we don't want it to get to that point, then it is also a platform for those that have erroneously joined, because we send message, using very many means. So when they hear this and decide, to make a trace, a comeback, we welcome them and also get them, properly fixed, so that they will be able to join in and contribute their quota in the societal growth and development.
Okay, so Mariam, let me pause you for a second. I have Hassan waiting. Hassan, are you still there?
Yeah, good morning, Mariam.
Morning, thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Tope and Mariam.
Good morning.
Please, it is very good for government to be proactive, and it is for the society also to be proactive also. You see, we are very good in appeasing terror in Nigeria. This cultism started in university, now on our streets.
Yeah.
Artisans are into it. Primary school students are into it. And we are still treating them with kid gloves. I don't know our problem in this country. The parents are not up and doing. The community are not up and doing. We don't have this culture of even reporting criminals in our midst. Parents are not ready to scold their children. We are copying modernization, and it's killing us. And when you look at this cultism now, it's another Boko Haram waiting to happen in North Central State and Southern Nigeria. We have to be very, very careful. We should face it head on. We should fight it. We know these guys. We know them very well. We know where they live. We know how they move around. You understand? We don't need to wait. Police cannot be everywhere.
Right.
It's about intelligence.
Okay.
And intelligence cannot work without the people.
Right.
People are the people that will provide police with the intelligence report.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Hassan.
In Northwest.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, so my question again is with CSP. The PCACOV is working with police officers. Are these police officers giving special training, say in psychology, mental health trainings? Are they specialists in those areas?
Yeah, PCACOV is not only working with the police officers. PCACOV is
Ooh. We're having
so sad.
Tolu, are you there? Can Tolu hear us?
That's PCACOV.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, Mr. CSP.
Yeah, are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes, we lost you for a second,
Yes,
but go
I
ahead,
said,
please.
okay. Yes, okay.
Go ahead.
How have you at? Hello?
Okay, we have to
Hello?
reconnect with you. We're having a... Okay, let me take this call first. Good morning, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, go ahead, please. You're live.
Okay, great.
Are you with me?
I'm calling from Isolo, first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
No.
Yay, finally, after how many years? Okay, so I really want to contribute to this topic on cultism.
Right.
It's a very, very touchy one for me because I spent some time in the University of Benin. And everybody knows, or to a degree, let me not assume that a lot of these cultism issues is in the tertiary institutions, in the universities and all of that. You know, and being in the University of Benin really opened my eyes to see a lot of stuff.
Right.
First of all, we have students who just come into school, meet the wrong crowd, and they are told, look, guy, if you want to survive, like if you want to make sure you come out alive, this is how you're going to survive. And some of them don't have a choice. Some people are forced.
Yeah.
Like you tell them, look, if you don't join, we are going to do this, we're going to do that. And sadly, quite sadly,
Right, right. You're absolutely correct. And I'd like to talk to engage Toluse at this point.
Yeah.
Toluse, so my worry is the age keeps getting younger of people who get into cultism.
Yes.
What do we do? How do we dissuade these children from joining these groups? I mean, what can parents do to pay attention? What are the things you can equip us as parents to know? What are the signs we can see to know if our children are beginning to join cults? Could you tell us from your own experience how you've been able to advise people on this? Toluse, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
Okay, great. So I think that it's not just about young people joining cultism these days, or engaging in cultism rather. I think it's also the fact that we have younger people getting admission to the university or the polytechnics than it was some years back. And because these days, education is being put in a fast-forward mode, and so people get to graduate early enough. And a lot has to do with maturity, to be very honest. Some of them have not been exposed to the kind of pressure that they experience when they get to tertiary institutions. Some probably were being driven from home to school all through their secondary school years, and then they get to the university and it's like they're free to do whatever they want to do, and they have experienced some level of freedom. And sometimes parents forget that they still have a responsibility over their children in spite of the fact that they're in university. And so you find out that once you gain admission, your parents hands off and they don't even consider that they have a responsibility anymore. Each time I have the opportunity to engage tertiary institution students, the question that I ask them is, aside from studying, aside from coming to this school to study, what is your goal? What is your aim? Did you just decide that, look, let me just go to school and study? Or have you looked at yourself and asked yourself, what other things can I engage in that will take my time? Because idleness is very key to the things that you engage yourself with. You're idle when you have a number of time, on your hands.
Right.
You tend to think and even engage in conversations that are not productive.
Right.
Yes, classes are there, assignments are there, projects are there, and all that, but you always find time for what is important to you. So sometimes it's the pressure that these people go through. So I think that every parent needs to understand that the fact that my child is now in the university doesn't take away the responsibility. I mean, my father said something to me recently. Said, look, you might be an adult, right? You might have left my home, but as long as I'm alive, I believe I still have a level of responsibility to you. The difference is to what extent do I have?
Right.
And so sometimes he calls me to say, ask how you doing? Not because he wants to give me money or something, but he wants to be sure that I'm even mentally okay or there is anything that I want to share with
Right.
him.
Let
And
me
I
pause
think
you
that's
for
the
a
level
second,
that every
Tolu.
parent needs to get to. And no matter how old your child is still your child.
Right.
And until you go 6 feet below, you still have a level of responsibility
over them.
to this child.
Let me pause you for a second.
Let's stop this era of you're an adult now, you're an adult now, then you just give them. So people are adults in terms of age, but in terms of IQ, in terms of emotional intelligence, in terms of being able to handle pressure, they are still babies.
Okay, I want to take a call from Ikorodu because from a gentleman called Dotson. I do apologize, I lost that call, but go ahead, Tokwe.
Okay, so Toluse, you're saying all the right things, and you obviously have in-depth knowledge of what are the things, the surrounding issues that can help prevent this. However, I believe that this organization, is there any consultation being done with captured cultists to understand what the society could have done to prevent them from going that route? And I think I should ask that to the CSP, that are you exposing some of these cultists that have been convicted for murder or even just caught in rancor to have one-on-one with psychologists and emotional experts like Toluse to understand what could have been done to prevent them from turning into cults as a means of escape?
CSP, are you there?
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, if you look at the part of the processes involved in the PCACOV activities, like I earlier mentioned, I will talk about advocacy, we'll talk about awareness creation, then sensitization. There's also an aspect called mentoring, before the reorientation. When we get them to, that's why I'm telling you that we look at the activities and the relationship, because we're interested in what took them to that place. Because most of them, at times, you find out that they don't even know why they are there. So now we interface them because we work in our team, because it is made up of both the policemen and non-policemen too. It's all that's why we call them stakeholders. We have people from the university that we are working with. We have people from the police institutes also that we are working with. And most of them are all psychologists too. So what we do is we interface them with these consequences, because at the point of initiation, because that's what we find out, at the point of initiation, they are not told about these consequences. What they just tell them is that those juicy things that can bring them in, tell you that you'll be connected, that this is what for you too. So we work on them with this and use it in the mentoring activities and our reorientation activities.
Right. Let me take this call from Tosi from Abeokuta. Good morning, Tosi. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
You're welcome. Well, I'm a pastor by calling from Abeokuta, and I've been listening to the comments so far. The solution is not far-fetched. You will observe that we've lost values in our homes. We copy foreign culture, whether they are good or they are bad. We can't discipline our children. I've meditated in certain homes where you see parents talk to each other anyhow in front of their children, where you see children talk back to their parents, and nothing is done. We are copying European culture where discipline is almost lackluster. This is Africa. We have a peculiar way of instilling discipline in our children. The Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. We've lost so much value. We lack discipline. So when we're talking about doing this, I recall in the 80s I was doing my first degree in university. My father was a military senior military officer at that time. They wanted me in the cult so bad that the reason they wanted me in the cult was to. So when there's a problem, my father would be at hand to rescue them from the police station. They always have reasons to invite people to the cult. They don't just bring anyone to the cult. If you are not going to add any value to their cult, they won't invite you. They are smart, they're not stupid. Why would they be inviting liabilities? They want access in the cult. So one of the main solutions is imbibing African values, the good values, biblical values, and I believe that some notable values also in the Quran. They can still same in Muslim homes. But we will start from this should be the background, the foundation for every child in the home. I can't imagine I have 4 boys by the grace of God. I can't imagine any of.
Oh, congratulations on the 4 boys.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Toluse, apart from parenting, I know that especially with young boys, they seem to find there's something about power, I think, that is quite attractive to a growing boy. And so I feel that is why maybe cultism may be attractive to them. Because I have heard people who are still in secondary school saying they can't wait to get to university so that they can be part of those powerful people. So what do we say to them before they get there about this power they're seeking? Yes.
So when we talk about power that people seek power because of what they have seen those who are seemingly powerful do. So they have come to believe that for me to do this thing, I need to get some level of power. And if you find out what do they seek this power for, maybe not productive things as it were, maybe to be able to call on any girl that they want and objectify the girl, maybe to get whatever they want in terms of money, materials, and all that. Yeah. And so it's productive things as it were, maybe to be able to call on any girl that they want and objectify the girl, maybe to get whatever they want in terms of money, materials, and all that. Yeah. And so it's important that you begin to educate boys about what power really is. Now, power is not for you to dominate. Power is for you to serve. It's for you to do good things. It's for you to influence others. The picture that people are giving about something determines how they crave for it. Let me give an example. So you are a TV show host, for example. You have the power that whatever you say on the show, people will believe you because they believe that you have the right information to have told them that thing. So even before they go to do their research, they'll say, oh, we heard it on your view and that. But you are not using it to trample upon people. Yeah. So when we give them examples of people who have the power and have not used it to dominate people, it's going to send a different message to them. Now, note, it doesn't mean that they will not struggle with making decisions when they find themselves at that point. But because of the knowledge that they have had before getting to that point, they're able to think back. Because you cannot act on what you don't know. Right. It is not when you're at the point of crisis that you begin to find out, you begin to read because you want to have knowledge. No. Right. The knowledge that you have had before your crisis period is what you will recall. And let me also say here that when people are being initiated, what they do is reframing. They reframe their mind, right? They alter their thinking and make them believe what is not even real, but presenting them as real. So if for any reason at all they have educated these boys, by the time they get to that point, they're able to remember or recall what they have been told about power, what they have been told about material things, what they have been told about position and money. And so they find themselves in that crisis period. Right. Then they remember the conversations that they have had before that time, and then they're able to juxtapose, is this thing real? Yeah. So this is what they are telling me, this is what I have learned, not just one day, not 2 days. And let me just say this.
Okay, before you say the other one, hang in.
It's important to begin to educate. Begin to educate from when they are very young. Begin to talk to them. Begin to explain to them what power is, why material things may not last, and why it is important that it is service that you render to people that will outlast you.
Point, thank you so much. Ransom has been holding for a while. Ransom, are you still there?
I'm there with you.
Please go ahead. Thanks for calling.
You go ahead?
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
I love this program.
Thank
you.
The
topic today is of interest to me. The basic fundamental cause of cultism is from home. It is the parents that the cause of cultism in any society. It depends on how you handle your children from youth. If you are the type of parent that doesn't even act after your children's welfare, where your children have been to, where they have gone to, and you are sleeping in a house that your child is not coming back to sleep with you, then there is problem. And a lot of parents like that today are around. They don't even bother to ask, where are you going to? Even in the morning. Children will wake up and just leave the house, come back at any point in time. Nobody to question their movement. So they are free. And if there is freedom, you can do anything. But by the time there is a check on any child, there will be cultism.
Okay.
I'm very, very sure. People like us who have engaged in this, if not for good parents, that, don't do this, don't do this. Even if you are gotten outside and you have peers that say, okay, come and do this, you remember where you are coming from.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. CSP, let me come to you because we've had cases of non-formal cultists. Those are those who pick up these habits or they join these groups on the streets as mechanics, artisans, carpenters. These are people that they probably have good upbringings and they wanted to just learn a skill. And from learning that skill and being loyal or being loyal to their teachers and all that, they pick up these habits of cultists, and before you know it, they are then brought into that group, not because they wanted to intentionally, but just by the trade they're involved in. In those kind of situations, what do we do to reduce the number of young people who are getting into cultism just by learning one skill or the other?
Yeah, thank you very much. These things are contained in the program of action of PCACOV. That was why I earlier on emphasized that it is community-driven, in line with the tenets of the community-oriented policing, prescribing that we must work with different stakeholders, all relevant stakeholders, the market associations, that's where the artisans are involved. Then we work with all groups because we need to do this and change the orientation regarding the value system. That's just it. Because there are some people are told that it's a means of acquiring power and it's a means of getting to your top echelon, and it's a means of being identified or being famous, and it's a means of being powerful and all that. But at the end of the day, you discover that all these things, are just they're just mundane things, fallacy and all that. So what we do is we identify and work with those artisans group, the trade union, the market people. Then we tell them this, that and interface them with the consequences of belonging to this called group. Okay. That it is not what they told you, because we are taking also a cue and our example from a storyline that was told in the one film called Living in Bondage. Because why Andy in Living in Bondage joined was that his friend did not explain this better to him. So now what the police is doing right now is to explain this thing better to you, so that we will not have a repeat of that particular scenario that existed because a lot of them are joined because these things were not well explained. So we are using very many means of communication, applicable, and strategic communications. Like we have display of posters, drama, exhibitions, town hall meeting, using football, meeting them, using even literature from the schools. And that was why we formed a program called PCACOV Volunteer Clubs. And these PCACOV Volunteer Clubs is also, it is for safer school and community partnership. So which means we have the membership from the community, we have the membership also, the community includes those artisans, wherever you find yourself. Then in the academics, then we have the PCACOV the volunteer clubs for safer school.
Okay, let me get in one question for you.
I think that's a good idea. Maybe we should change the name though, because that people like the idea of using powerful name, but PCACOV might not necessarily inspire that interesting. So. Let me just come and join PCACOV. But I think it's really good because movies are a very, very good way to penetrate people's subconscious without coming across as being, I want you not to join a cult. However, I have two questions, one for you and one for Toluse. The one for you is profiling. Now, there is a look somebody would have that would make them appeal to cultists because they'll feel like this person can connect with me. I would like us to end this show by giving those kind of valuable content for parents, so that parents will say, if my child starts dressing like this or looking like this, I should become careful. What would you say to that? That's for the CSP. And then for Toluse, what can a parent do to protect their child, their ward, especially at the level of secondary school? What can they look out for and start guiding against the child getting involved with cultists?
Ooh, I'm just told that we lost both of them. Oh. So that question
let me suggest.
No, don't suggest. I'll give it to Mariam, please. Let's take that.
Okay,
what do you think?
For me, if I were to ask that question of how they dress, would be PCACOV, are they going to profile them differently? Because we have looked at how people dress too many times and put them in a box that they are not in. And so our PCACOV specialize enough to be able to separate the look from the activity. And then I guess for a parent, there are some things you would notice differently, but you have to always be like an observant parent in the first place.
Sure.
You know, and
Extremely
so that's what
observant.
that's what Toluse is saying. If as a parent you're not in that person's life, in your child's life,
you won't know.
when changes are happening, you wouldn't even notice it. So.
And sometimes poverty causes these things. You don't have anything, but you know that your son is hanging out with one guy on the street who is giving him money and taking care of the bills. So you just allow him, he's your son, please go and just
For me, confidence causes a lot of these things. So I'm putting together a course on confidence, and I realize that we don't, as parents, we need to imbibe in our children self-confidence in themselves, so that when they are confronted with, I'll make you powerful, they can look at it and be like, duh, I'm powerful enough. Or with this, you can be able to, because Toluse was saying that there are simple examples. Build your children to be confident enough to say no, even when confronted with juicy offers. It's important as parents.
Okay, on that note, we end the show. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank the National Coordinator, Police Campaign Against Cultism and Other Vices, that's CSP Ebere Amaraizu. And also, we had the mental and emotional wellness experts and thought leader, founder of Reuel Consulting, Toluse Francis. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.